And it was a Quest guy, right?
It was supposed to be Dan Henderson, really?
I thought so. It was a Quest guy. Did Dan Henderson and Jones ever fight?
No.
I'm pretty sure it was Henderson. I could be completely mistaken, but...
Dan Henderson did fight Daniel Cormier. Remember that fight? And Daniel just sort of ragdolled him all over the place. I don't know. I don't remember who the hell John was supposed to fight.
It just seemed as though those are the moments where a legacy can be very shaken. Now, John's done his own work of shaking up his own legacy. Yeah, I mean...
John just needs someone to talk to.
I think that we all make poor choices, and some people's poor choices are a little bit bigger than other people's poor choices.
Well, and there's also wild motherfuckers do wild motherfucker shit. Like,
true.
you want some dude who opens up with Shogun with a flying knee when he's 22 years old and catches Shogun on the chin. That's Jon Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole wild man thing is the reason why he's so goddamn good in the first place, because he has amazing confidence. What makes Jon special is like the Gustafsson fight, a fight that he admittedly was in shitty shape for, really wasn't training, was partying way too much, wasn't really paying attention, didn't think Gustafsson could beat him, and got dragged deep into the 5th round, still wound up winning. He didn't fold up. He fought. I mean, he wound up winning the 5th round. He wound up taking it to him. He pulled that fight out, and he made it. I mean, look, Gustafsson's a bad motherfucker. It's not like Gustafsson was a pushover, but Jon Jones made that fight way harder than it was by not being in condition, not being in shape, and still gutted it out and won.
Yeah, he had that. I think that part of him that I hope he returns to, that is all about that, I don't know, those Diego Sanchez moments, like when you just, it becomes your spirit that's fighting there, not just your body that's fighting, but something else has to take over and take the reins.
When Vitor popped his arm, and Vitor had his arm so hyperextended.
I thought he was going to tap. I was like, holy
I was hoping
crap.
he was going to tap. I didn't want to see his arm break. You know, I mean, it was fucking nasty.
And when his toe was half torn off in that other fight.
He didn't know about that.
Yeah, he just didn't feel it. Like, that's another level.
Yeah, he didn't know about that until he was doing the post-fight interview and looked down and saw his toe. And he was like,
so
holy
gross.
shit. And then we got him a stool, and he sat down on the stool, and he was kind of in shock.
Yeah. Yeah, I always called him my little brother at the gym, but I always, he's not my, I guess, I haven't been at the gym in a long time, so.
John is almost too talented for his own good, and surrounded by the wrong kind of people.
I think that he does that, yeah. I think that
100%.
There's something about him that self-sabotages, yeah.
It's easy. It's easy to self-sabotage. You know, it's like the pressure of being a Jon Jones. But you think about the amount of money that guy missed out on. You know, and then he's coming back in July, and he'll most likely be fighting the winner of Daniel Cormier Rumble Johnson, which is in a couple of months, if they could do that in time, because you've got to go May, June, July, maybe. I mean, it really depends on how this fight goes. But he still has a chance to pull it off, and still has a chance to be the greatest of all time. But he's fucked up pretty hard. I like Jon, though. I just think Jon's around the wrong fucking people.
He's a good dude. I just think that, I think that we all wake up at some point, and I just think his wake up hasn't happened yet. Like, even with the suspensions and the stuff that he's saying, but I think that he also tried very hard to brand himself a certain way that, again, authenticity, inauthenticity. You know, like, I think that, I'm sure that I'm not a religious person, so I don't really know how to say if somebody is being super Christian or not being super Christian or being whatever that they identify with. Like, that's not my knowledge sphere. But I will say that it didn't seem, the things that he was saying didn't jive with how he was, and it came out, and people hated him for it.
They did get mad at that because he was trying to present this goody two-shoes image, when meanwhile he's a wild man.
Yeah, and you know, the wild man is a respected figure, and not maybe respected, but it's a vaulted figure in society. Like,
Donald Cowboy Cerrone's a perfect example. He's 100% on his sleeve wild man.
Yeah, I love him.
You know?
He's, and a good dude. But a wild man, he has to have those rushes. He has to have that danger coming at him. Yeah,
he lives for it. He genuinely lives for it, and without it, he doesn't feel as tuned in. He doesn't feel as alive. It's a crazy fucking sport, Julie Kedzie. It's crazy.
I want to know you. Okay. I want to know about you. Who were you when you first started all this?
Who was I?
Yeah, who were you? And are you the same person now?
I don't know.
Who were you? Like, who was Joe Rogan? Well, it's just like, it's something I'm thinking about these heterotopic spaces, and I'm thinking about authenticity. I'm like, here's a person. I was actually just going to email you these questions. I was like, well, if I come in here, I can plug Invicta, and that would be great because I love plugging Invicta. But I've never really sat down and talked to you. And I guess, who were you when this started, and who are you now? Like, are you the same person?
Well, I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I mean, that's just, I would imagine. If you're constantly thinking about things and constantly growing and trying to reevaluate constantly, Yeah, I was younger. I was just a few years removed from martial arts competition and kickboxing and doing some acting and stuff. And
did you train for acting? Did you?
Sort of. I had to take a few acting classes when I got a development deal, but it was because I already had a television show. And so they said, hey, you should learn how to act. It was really that. It wasn't that it was something that I trained for.